Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show on a Monday morning.
Yeah. Let me start by complaining.
Okay.
Our coffee maker, we had like 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on the pre-show, right? So I know I have 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's got to be like 600 seconds or something like that. And I've got all that time to go make a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
So I get there. We have one of the Keurigs, okay, the fancy ones. Get there. Okay, you need to add water. Okay. All right. No deal. Go grab it. Go fill it up with some water, right? Then I put it back on there. It starts heating. And heating. And heating.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
And heating. And then I'm like looking at my watch, which I don't wear, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm not going to make the pre-show. And the pre-show's the most important part.
Oh,
like,
easily.
If you go to a Mexican restaurant, right? You go to a Tex-Mex restaurant. I haven't been to a Tex-Mex restaurant in a year. It's March now.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a Tex-Mex restaurant in a year. You go to a Tex-Mex restaurant, chips and queso are bad?
No, that's the best part.
But my question is, if the chips and queso are bad,
Oh, yeah.
does that set the tone for the rest of the day?
Yeah.
Right? That sets the tone for the rest of the day. This is your chips and queso. This pre-show is the chips and queso of Texas football today. And we've got to deliver. We've got to come through. And so I had to cut bait. And I abandoned my cup of coffee. There's a cup of coffee. It's right over there. Goodbye, my love. It's right over there, but I can't get there. You know why?
Why don't you go grab it?
Because I'm committed to this pre-show. And I can't trust Pickle alone.
I might burn the place down.
You need adult supervision.
I thought about burning the place down. I haven't done it yet.
You need adult supervision, and so I can't. Take
Are you really adult supervision though? I feel like I am more your adult supervision. Take the age thing out of it.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I gave it a real thought.
I bet we could poll the office, and they would agree that in the studio right now, I am the adult supervision.
In the office? Yeah, everybody in the office hates me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's yeah, but they wouldn't be voting with their heart. They would be voting.
I mean, we can
with
take
their gut.
it to the viewers and see what they say too.
Yeah, but they don't see the behind the scenes stuff. They don't see us out here grinding.
Yeah.
You know, all the stuff that we do to make this show on the air. So they wouldn't be an accurate gauge. I mean, really, the only two people who can vote on something like this are the people who live it, me and you.
And
it sounds
my vote
like
matters more.
And it sounds like we're split.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's a hung jury, so to speak.
I wouldn't think so.
It kind of sounds that way. Did you have a good weekend, Pickle?
Yeah. I mean,
you got anything else to say?
Nothing special, really. Just kind of hanging out. I started a new show on Netflix. It's only got one season, but it's pretty good. Like, it's just one of the Ginny and Georgia.
Yeah,
it's
I think it's good.
a new.
I was gonna say
like Netflix original.
It's not the Victorian era Steam Fest that everybody likes.
No,
Bridgerton.
I haven't done that yet.
I watched my wife and I watched
way.
one episode together of that, and I tapped out. I was like, this isn't for me. And that was even apparently before things get very like
hot and heavy.
Yes. I was like, this isn't for me. This isn't my style. Stuff like that.
You want
my wife then watched the whole thing. Yes.
You want to know an old show that I've been watching a whole lot of because it's a feel good happy show?
The Office.
The Golden Girls. Have you ever?
The Golden Girls.
I don't
think I've ever actually sat down and watched an episode of
The
Golden Girls.
It is amazing. It's so good. I did when I started it. I was like, okay, this is just. It seems like a good little comfort show. Like I can throw it on at night and not really have to pay attention to it. Kind of scroll through my phone. It's amazing. It is so freaking funny. Like, it is so funny. Watch an episode.
Oh,
it's got good humor
like
in it.
No, but you know,
Okay,
I trust you.
You're
on
missing
it.
out.
I'm sure I am. I miss out on a lot of things.
Well,
we we miss out on a lot of things. And plus, I mean, the thing is, at this point, Pickle, we've all been trapped in our homes for a year, right?
Yeah.
We've all been trapped in our homes for a year. If there was something especially something that's been around like that,
Mhm.
that I was going to watch,
You would have
would have watched it already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's good. It's really good.
Okay, so we
It's
have
funny.
a B. Arthur fan over here.
Yeah.
B. Arthur.
See, everyone in the comments
What's her
says they
name?
like.
Betty White. Everybody likes Betty White, right?
Yeah, she's great.
Betty White. Those are the only two I know. B. Arthur and Betty White. I'm sure
Yeah.
there are two other. There's four of them, right?
Yeah.
And they're old.
Yeah.
That's the bit.
Yeah.
The bit's that they're old.
That's
It's
fact.
more like the olden girls.
I'm hitting the theme expo.
Let's go! Free money!
Hey, how to sing blue baby. Shot glass in your hand.
Yes, yo! From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show here in March 2021. Feels like we need to tell you guys that. It is March 2021. Feel like people are mistaking this for March 2020.
Is there really a difference between the two of them? I mean, hopefully. Hopefully there is.
yes.
Do I have much
Yes.
faith in that?
Do you know why? You know why? I am very hopeful about March 2021. I think things are going to be good in March 2021. March 2020, I think we all agree. March 2021, that's where the money's at.
I hope so.
My name's Greg Tupper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com or on the Facebook.com, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She is Ashley Pickle. Hello, Ashley.
Howdy. My stomach just growled. I'm hungry.
You having trouble here over here?
No, I'm just hungry.
Hmm.
I'm usually not this hungry at this point in the show, but
Does
today I am hungry.
Just hypothetically, does that sound like something that 2 large pizzas would cure?
Yes, probably too much. It would probably cure it too much. I'm not doing the pizza challenge today.
Just saying. I mean, we've got today is Monday, March 1st. We made it through. I can't say that February is a trash month. I'm not allowed to because my wife's birthday is in February. But I like March.
I don't know. March has been
I think
absolute poop for like the last 2 years.
that's
for
true.
Me.
It's a great point.
So
Now-
I'm really hoping that this March is not as
Now,
poopy as the last two have been.
Here's the other thing.
Extra
I think we
butt.
can all agree. We got past January. We've got some good space between us and January. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
January's trash month. Today is Monday, March 1st, 2021. 269 days till Thanksgiving. Episode 1117. 1117. This is the Kip Wells episode.
I like the name Kip.
Kip. I remember when he got signed in like 2006, and they thought, "Oh man,
That's a
he's a nice reclamation
solid
project."
like girl or guy name.
Kip. This is Kip Wells, who is he's a Baylor guy. He's
Yeah.
from he went to
Go
Fort
Bears.
Penn-Elkins. Fort Penn-Elkins. Shout out Kip Wells. On today's show, my friends, we got some headlines from across the state, including what happened in college football across the state. It was actually a big slate of college football across the state of Texas this weekend, plus some big coaching maneuvers in the Texas high school football ranks. We'll get to all that. Back half of the show, we're going to take a look at a piece that was written by Texas Football Today's own Bill Connolly of ESPN.com. He went through and he ranked the top 60 college football quarterbacks of the last 2 decades, since 2000.
Yeah.
And there is, unsurprisingly, a nice smattering of Texas college quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We'll focus in on that, and I'll say which ones perhaps that should have. I'm not saying that he missed any of them, because I think that overall, I think there's, there are 9? He's got 9 on there. I'm not going to say that he missed any of them because I think that it's a pretty darn good list. And I would maybe move some around here and there. But here's some that I think also deserve conversation when we spread that out to the top Texas college quarterbacks. He's got to fit in
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield and Trevor Lawrence
Yeah.
and guys that we don't have to worry about.
Yeah, it's way different when you're looking at a state
Right.
compared to nationally.
Right. So we are going to get to that coming up at the back half of the show. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Rob Hadaway, Ed McElroy, Ryan Smiga, and Aaron Arbuckle. Welcome in, fellas.
Hello, friends. Okay. Let's get to some headlines from across the state of Texas, and we will start on the football field, where there was a very, very large slate of college football action across the state of Texas this weekend. I actually got to sit down and enjoy some football this weekend.
Yeah.
I sat down and I watched a decent amount of Lamar and McNeese. Lamar and Nichols.
That scared me.
Okay.
Yeah, did you hear the motorcycle rev up?
Oh, I thought what scared you was me
Watching
thinking
McNeese.
thinking it was McNeese and not Nichols.
No. There's a motorcycle that decided to start revving its engine right there.
So Sam Houston State got on the field for the first time in 450 days.
Crazy.
It was a wild 43-38 win for Sam Houston State in a game that had more than 1,200 combined yards of total offense. Eric Schmid, of course, the Woodlands product, was the quarterback for Sam Houston. He went crazy. 428 yards and a pair of touchdowns. He added 88 yards on the ground. Ramon Jefferson ran for 139 yards. Chandler Harvin was the top target for them. This was a team that this was a really fun game back and forth with Southeastern Louisiana. And Sela's got a big offense as well. But Sam Houston State was able to come up with a big play on 4th and 2 to stop Sela's final kind of last gasp to hold on for a 43-38 win and hold on for a nice season-opening victory there for Sam Houston State. So it's good to see the Bearcats back on there. And next week, Sam Houston State gets ready for Nichols, number 9 Nichols. And Nichols looked really good against Lamar,
yeah, they did.
kind of ruining the debut of Blaine Morgan, the new coach at Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
The problem for Lamar, and I watched actually a decent amount of this game, the biggest problem for Lamar, they were getting eaten alive up front. Absolutely eaten alive. Now, part of that is I think that Nichols is pretty good.
Right.
And they're the number 9 team in the nation in FCS.
Yeah, there's a little bit of undersized.
Sure, and Lamar, is in a rebuilding mode, first-year head coach, obviously a strange season, things like that. But they looked out of sorts, and they could not really get anything going offensively or defensively, and so they took a thumping from Nichols. Elsewhere, one of the things I thought was interesting, one of the big questions coming into the season was at Incarnate Word and how they were going to replace their superstar quarterback, John Copeland. John Copeland, of course, they were asking whether or not Cameron Ward was the guy they wanted to turn to. Could he be the guy that could step in and keep that offense on the tracks? I would say that he did. He was spectacular in their 48-20 win over McNeese. McNeese was ranked, and they were able to absolutely hammer them. Cameron Ward, 24 of 35 for 306 yards and 4 touchdowns. He completed passes to 11 different receivers. This is the Eric Morris offense at running at peak efficiency. They want to spread the ball out. They want to get the ball to a variety of different guys, and they were able to do that. They also were able to run the ball. Kevin Brown was able to run the ball for 117 yards. They were able to look. This is an Incarnate Word team that coming into the year, the big question was whether or not they're going to have a quarterback. If they're going to get that from Cam Ward every week,
I think they'll be
just fine. They'll be just fine. And look, they've still got a ton of big games up. They've still got Southeastern Louisiana. They've still got Nichols. They've still got Sam Houston. Right, a lot on the schedule. But as far as the playoffs are concerned, they get players. If they get play like that quarterback spot, they'll be just fine. 2 other things I want to mention. Mary Hardin Baylor went to crazy in a 52-7 win over Southwestern. That's not surprising. They ran for 255 yards on the ground. Tommy Bowden, their quarterback, was really good. Again, carried the ball for 112 yards to lead it. Defense, unsurprisingly, for Mary Hardin Baylor, which is kind of their bread and butter, was excellent as well. Texas Lutheran. How about Texas Lutheran?
Yeah, some TLU action.
They go and they beat Sul Ross 24-3 and run for 384 yards.
Yeah.
6.5 yards a carry, basically. Chris Monroe at a College Station leads the way with 176 yards on the ground. DeCorey Willis was excellent as well. This was a team that, look, they really got on the ground and ran. So congratulations to them. A big win for Texas Lutheran. The Bulldogs take down Sul Ross State. Of course, you can check out our small college insider, Corey Hoag's work at texasfootball.com for more on that. Okay. I also want to make sure we highlight a couple of things on the high school football coaching front. There were a number of changes that came down that I think were particularly noteworthy. One of them, we kind of alluded to it last week with when we talked with Eric Mims, the new head coach at Amarillo Paladuro. Thank you. We kind of alluded to that obviously that's a really big gig for him to go home. There's another homecoming going on south of there in Lubbock, as DJ Mann is the new head coach at Lubbock Coronado. Lubbock Coronado is his alma mater. He's a guy who is probably best known as one of the better recruiting coordinators around the state.
Coming out of Cedar Hill.
Before he was at Cedar Hill, which is where he's been for the past couple of years, he was at Crosby with Jeff Reardon. This is a guy who knows his way around high school football programs and a guy who I think has been waiting for an opportunity like this. And, a guy who's been on a lot of short lists, I think. It's really cool that his alma mater came open and he gets to go home. It's funny, when I've talked with when I talked with Coach Mann, he has, he's mentioned that, he's a West Texas guy.
Oh, yeah.
He coached in Houston, right, with Crosby. Yeah, he coached in DFW with Cedar Hill, but, I think there was part of him that was really itching to get back to Lubbock, which is where he's from. And he gets that awesome opportunity to go back there. So congratulations to DJ Mann.
That seems like a big West Texas guy thing. Anytime that we hear from a coach that played out in West Texas, it seems like they're always itching at any opportunity to be able to get back there.
Also heading home to their alma mater is TJ Dibble. TJ Dibble is going to be the new head coach at LD Bell in Hearst. He was, of course, Arlington's defensive coordinator the past couple of years. He is a Bell graduate from 2000. He played at Sam Houston State. He was an assistant all around kind of the Metroplex, a variety of different places, but he's been at Arlington High since 2017. So congratulations to Coach Dibble. Denison has filled their vacancy. Brent Whitson is leaving South Grand Prairie to go up to Denison to take over there. We've got a piece up on TexasFootball.com from our own Matt Stepp about that, so check that out. Brent Whitson is heading to north to Denison. Also, other things to keep in mind. There was a big shakeup. One thing to keep an eye on. There was a big shakeup down in the Rio Grande Valley. Specifically at Sharyland ISD, as they promoted their Sharyland head coach Ron Adame to athletic director. So congratulations, Coach Adame, he gets a promotion. As does Sharyland Pioneer coach Tom Lee. Tom Lee's getting promoted to assistant AD. As a result, and this is just kind of crazy, but both head coaching vacancies are now open there. So Sharyland and Pioneer are both open, and the guys who will be making the hires are the former coaches. So keep an eye on that. Big doings down there in the Rio Grande Valley. And then one more. Obviously, I think there's a few other really big vacancies that everybody's kind of got their eye on. One of them is Brock. Everyone's wondering where Brock's going to go. Our own Matt Stepp at Dave Campbell's Texas Football reports that they're down to 5 candidates and that there's going to be a final round of interviews this week. He says that the 5 finalists include an internal candidate, a former head coach in the Big Country, a current DFW head coach, a current DFW defensive coordinator, and a head coach in Central Texas. We can expect a decision around the end of the week.
That's a big get.
That would be that's a very big job out there. Probably, it's one of the biggest jobs open right now.
Absolutely.
So,
that South Carolina Prairie is pretty big.
So keep an eye on that. We will, of course, have complete coverage for you at TexasFootball.com. And those are some. Oh, one more. I'm sorry. I meant to mention one more. We've got New Braunfels Canyon has made a hire late last week.
Yeah.
Thursday, New Braunfels Canyon made an announcement that they are hiring, or rather, let me be clear. It came from the coach.
Yes.
Coach Travis Bush at Seguin told his team Thursday that he is going to be leaving to go take over at New Braunfels Canyon. What is interesting about that, Coach Bush, he should be approved by Comal ISD later this week. He's been at Seguin for 5 years. The last couple of seasons they've been pretty good. I think they're clearly on the upward trajectory. He is of course the son of Bruce Bush, but Coach Bush, very interesting. He's taking over a program. New Braunfels Canyon is one of the great breakout stories of 2020. Keep in mind, they're in the same district.
Yep.
In the same district, so that should be a juicy district matchup.
Yeah.
So Travis Bush is going to be leaving to take over from Seguin to New Braunfels Canyon. Of course, we got complete coverage of all things Texas high school football at texasfootball.com. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on texasfootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Texasfootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. I want to invite you to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at texasfootball.com/subscribe. That's texasfootball.com/subscribe. 2 magazines, including the summer book, which I have to do so much work on today. Oh my gosh. Like March is like magazine season.
Yeah.
So between that, you get 2 magazines, a year's worth of exclusive online content at texasfootball.com. We hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at texasfootball.com/subscribe. Okay, Pickle. Let's talk quarterbacks.
Yes.
Everybody likes talking quarterbacks, and so that's what we're going to do. Everybody likes talking quarterbacks because it's easy. Right?
Yeah.
It's easy to watch quarterbacks and know when quarterbacks are doing well. You know?
Yeah, it's not a lineman where if
Right.
you've never really done it, then it's a little bit harder to tell what they're doing.
It is very often hard to tell if to the layman, to the average Joe Sixpack who's watching football on a Sunday or Saturday, it's often hard to tell if a cornerback's having a good day.
Yeah, or like even the difference between a tight end and a wide receiver.
Yes.
You can tell with the wide receiver because they're down the field out by themselves. The tight end's throwing in a bunch of blocks that you don't see, all of that, you know.
Quarterbacks, though, are easy.
People also follow the ball.
Yes, that's exactly.
It's real easy to follow the ball.
It's follow the ball, and if you keep your eye on the ball, you're going to be talking about quarterback. So our friend Bill Connolly, of course, Texas Football Today's own Bill Connolly over there at ESPN.com. He has a piece up on Texas football, or no, he doesn't.
No,
he has it up on ESPN.com.
that is not accurate
Boy,
information.
I wish. On ESPN.com, where he ranks all the top 60 college quarterbacks of the 21st century.
I'm interested as to how he got 60. Like, why 60?
I don't know.
That's that's an answer I would like.
But more basically, what he did was he thought, I don't know why he got to 60. He probably could have done 100. I bet he was just like, if I do more than this, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So he has his top 60 up. And of course, he's got number 1. I should warn you, is Baker Mayfield. He thinks Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback of this
All right.
century so far. I think that's fair.
Fair.
The way, when we talk about Texas quarterbacks, we're only going to talk about guys who finished at Texas schools. So, for example, like Kyler Murray is number 7.
Right.
We're not going to count Kyler Murray as a Texas quarterback because he didn't finish his career there.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to finish. Just like we'll consider Joe Burrow to be an LSU quarterback, not an Ohio State quarterback. So on his list, he does have a smattering of Texas quarterbacks. In fact, of the 60, 9 of them are from Texas colleges. So let's go ahead and throw up the graphic. Here is what he's got as his top Texas quarterbacks of the last 2 decades. And so now I've numbered them 1 through 9. I will tell you that it starts with the top Texas quarterback, Vince Young, was number 3 on his list, behind Cam Newton and Baker Mayfield. Robert Griffin III is his second Texas college quarterback. That was number 10 on his list. Colt McCoy checks in at number 12 on his list.
Interesting.
Johnny Manziel checks in at number 13, 1 spot behind him. Next up, Case Keenum from Houston. He is at number 22 on the list. Graham Harrell is at number 26 on the list, I think. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I lied. Where is Graham? Number 32.
Non-truther.
I know. Number 32 is Graham Harrell. Then you have to drop all the way down to number 52, I believe, or 54 to find Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is at number 54. And then number 59 and number 60 are Andy Dalton at TCU and Kevin Kolb at Houston. So look, let's start with this. Let's start with the positioning statement. I actually think that's a pretty good list. I don't have a huge amount of complaints here. I think there is a fair argument to move Johnny Manziel up. But I think one of the things is that Colt McCoy did do it for longer. Johnny Manziel basically had that incredible 2012 year, a pretty good 2013 year, and that was it. And they went to the NFL draft.
Yeah, I would think, too, that by looking just at this list, it seems like there might have been some heavy weight on the did you make it to a national championship type
that's
of
certainly
thing.
part of it.
And I think that maybe that's why he went up, because I feel like that would be the one that most people would be pretty ticked about.
For Robert Griffin III, he makes a really interesting. I probably don't need to tell you why Vince Young is number one.
Yeah.
Robert Griffin III, he makes a really interesting point. He says that Robert Griffin III was Baylor's Andrew Luck. That he was a guy who took the program and really revolutionized it. They had not had a winning season in 13 years before he showed up. It's easy to forget. And then, of course, they won 10 games, and he was spectacular, won the Heisman as well, got in the winter edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, I should say. Case Keenum, I think, is an interesting one that people probably forget too much. Yeah. But Case Keenum was awesome for Houston. He was perfect for both Art Briles and Kevin Sumlin, more than 5,000 yards. He has 19,000. He is, of course, the all-time leading passer in college football history as far as career passing yards. He has 2,000 more than anyone else. That's crazy.
That is.
So nuts. Case Keenum, and that's why I think you're right. There's certainly like an element of like you're tied to your success. That like Houston with Case Keenum was pretty good, but they weren't like elite. They weren't contending for national championships. And so I think from a numbers perspective, there's an argument that Case Keenum should be higher. Right. Graham Harrell's kind of in that same boat too. Graham Harrell's fourth all time in college football passing yards, right? But he checks in at number 6 on the list. Mahomes at number 7. I think obviously what he's done at the next level, I think has overshadowed what he did at Texas Tech. He threw 40. He was incredible, but they only went 12-13 with Pat Mahomes at the helm. Andy Dalton, I'm glad he got on this list. I think Andy Dalton is woefully underrated. Yeah. Maybe not necessarily on this list. I don't know if I'd move him up, but I'm glad that he's getting the recognition because Andy Dalton was really, really good, and the numbers I think don't bear that out. Like he only threw for 10,000 yards, and I know that sounds like, oh my gosh, he only threw for 10,000 yards, but like. That's like, for example, he has the same, essentially the same number of passing yards as. Let me see if I can find this. He basically has the same number of passing yards as like Cody Kessler at USC or Jared Lorenzen at Kentucky. Yeah. But I think that what he brought from a leadership perspective and being that steady hand at TCU deserves some recognition. I'm glad he made that list.
I think that you can put him close in the same category of RG3 by just saying he kind of put TCU on the map when he did that. Because realistically, I mean, TCU was, a decent program, but it was like that's when people really started going, oh, okay, there's another school in Texas.
So, and then there's one more in number 6. He starts off the list with Kevin Kolb, the quarterback at Houston. And again, a guy I think is really forgotten and I'm glad he got acknowledged here because he was like the OG Art Briles air raid quarterback. Yeah. He was like the first, and he helped lead Houston to their first 10-win season in 16 years there in 2006. So yeah, look, overall, I don't have a ton of arguments here. Now, I do want to say, and I'm not necessarily saying they should be on the list. I want to be very clear that I'm not necessarily saying they should be on the list.
Give him an honorable mention spot.
Here's a couple of guys that I think deserve an honorable mention on this list, okay? One of them, Mason Fine.
Yes. If
Mason
you want to talk
Fine,
about a catalyst that brought a program up.
Mason Fine is 28th in career passing yards. And you want to talk about a guy who gave a program a boot in the butt. to
Yeah.
get them going. Yeah, I think Mason Fine. Again, I'm not saying he should be on that top 60.
No,
I'm saying if we were making a Texas list,
he's
I
definitely
want
up
him to
there.
be in consideration for that because I think he was really spectacular there for them. Another guy that I think gets really just grossly overlooked is Chase Clement, the quarterback at Rice from 05 to 08.
Yeah.
He was a steady hand for them. I thought he was very solid for them. He has, how about this? He threw the same number of touchdown passes as Matt Leinart in college. He threw more touchdown passes than Cliff Kingsbury in college. Okay?
Yeah.
He threw more touchdown passes than Geno Smith. He has two fewer touchdown passes in college than Chase Daniel. Okay? Chase Clement was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think he deserves a little bit of credit as well if we were making a Texas list. And another guy, and I know that this is a little bit off the beaten path, let's put some respect on Trevor Vitito's name. Trevor Vitito at UTEP from 07 to 10. And again, I know that part of it is that they just weren't very good. Right? I mean, from 07 to 10, they go 4-8. He goes 4-8, 6-7, 5-7. Is that right? No, I skipped over 4-8, 5-7, 4-8, 6-7. Like they just weren't very good. But that's like by no fault of Trevor Vitito, who is 30th in college football history in passing yards. He is 31st in passing touchdowns. Trevor Vitito was really, really good there. And so, look, those are a couple of honorable mentions that I would want to throw on there. Again, I'm not saying they should be on the top 60 all time because you do have to have a place for Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And you do have to have a place
for Baker Mayfield.
For Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Right? Like, I get it. And Timmy Chang and all those guys. What I will say is that if you were making a top 10 list of just college football quarterbacks in the state of Texas in the last 20 years, I think there's other guys that get in there. This may be a little bit, I think that this is going to draw the ire of some. Does Sam Ehlinger deserve a spot there?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he was spectacular. I also think, and I know he wasn't the quarterback for very long, but I thought Bryce Petty was really, really good at Baylor.
Yeah, they brought that.
Bryce Petty was exceptional at Baylor.
Someone said Trayvon Boykin.
Trevon Boykin was very good. Obviously, it didn't end particularly elegantly there at TCU, but I think that
he was fun to watch.
He was a guy that really took them to the next level. It's an interesting piece. You should go read it on ESPN.com. It's called Ranking the Top. What is it called? Oh my gosh, scroll. Ranking college football's top 60 quarterbacks of the 2000s. And, to take that from a Texas perspective, I think it's an interesting thought exercise.
I really like, too, with the names that were listed, I really appreciate the fact that you can tell that he did not, because you mentioned it when you talked about Patrick Mahomes, obviously. Bill literally did it where he was talking about college quarterbacks and only focused on their time at college. Because I feel like so many times too many lists end up looking at either what they did beforehand or what they did afterwards, and it kind of says, oh, well, he just, won the Super Bowl and then played in the Super Bowl again. He's got to be, like, he had to have been super good in college, and it's like, he was, but he is not better than Johnny Manziel was in college, even though Manziel didn't do anything afterwards.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's easy to get starry-eyed with guys like Mahomes, right? But like in college, or I mean, it's easy to, and it's weird because
even
like,
Vince Young.
Yeah,
I mean.
but the thing is, I do think that he has to that when you make a list like this, you have to balance a few different things. One is like obviously what you did from like a numbers perspective.
Yes.
One of them is like how your team did, because if you're throwing for 1,000,000 yards a game, but your team's losing every game, like are you particularly relevant? Are you relevant? And then also like, can you kind of block out what you've done since then? Because there are guys that, like Vince Young is kind of the reverse of that. Vince Young was a guy who was absolutely spectacular in college. He gets to the NFL, it doesn't work. Johnny Manziel's kind of the same way too. Absolutely spectacular in college, gets to the pros, doesn't really work out. So it's an interesting kind of way of balancing all of those different things, and I think it's a pretty good list. I'm not just saying that because Bill's a buddy,
again, if you want to put the fourth option in there, like we said, of how did you shape the program too, like that was a big one with like RG3.
Yeah, and
there's so many factors that go into this list. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, program impact. All right, there you go. Make sure you check that out on ESPN.com. And now we go to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment, Final Thoughts.
I don't think that we have a lot. There's some programming notes.
Do you
I
want to do
don't-
that now, or
We can wait.
we'll wait?
We got a couple days.
Pickle's quitting the show.
Yeah,
It's going to do it for us.
for good.
Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. For Ashley's Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, your ears should be burning. Please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow for Hot Take Tuesday on Texas Football Today.